Cold of War, also known as Ezri Dax from Deep Space Nine, and you're listening to Kneel Before Pod.
Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
Hello, and welcome to an experimental edition of Kneel Before Pod. I'm your host Craig, and this is the first in what could be a regular trailer chat feature, where we talk about new trailers for films that we just happen to be interested in. Just testing this out for now, as I personally don't normally watch trailers for fear of spoilers, but in the interest of discussion, I'm possibly willing to waive that for the initial trailers. So without further ado, let's dive in and start with Justice League. So, here to talk trailers, we have Aaron.
Hello.
And Chris.
Hello.
I hope you've both seen this trailer. Otherwise, it's going to be a very short conversation.
Can confirm that I have seen the trailer.
And that trailer is Justice League. Chris, have you seen it?
Oh, that one. Oh, crap.
Power Rangers. I've seen the trailer. I'm ready to go.
You've seen the trailer, yeah.
I've seen the trailer, at least.
Yes, so Justice League. What's the difference?
Justice League, yes.
They both have a guy in a red suit that looks suspiciously the same.
It does look like a very similar costume.
Yes. I'm breaking my sort of cardinal rule here. I'm watching trailers for the benefit of all the listeners who might want to hear us talk about trailers. It's worth a try. So Justice League seems like a good place to start since it just came out. So first up, I think, is just a general thought on the whole trailer as an experience. And Aaron, you could start.
I think I'm still struggling with the whole universe idea in DC, and I don't think this trailer has managed to convince me that instantly putting together a team is going to work and be anything more than a few gags before a big fight. So ultimately, action seemed like it would be really good, and the interplay between the characters seems like it'd be really good, but can they really get past this massive barrier? I'm still not convinced.
Interesting, because obviously the DC universe is something you're quite familiar with watching the TV shows. So what is it about the films that doesn't quite track?
It's just the speed of it. The TV shows have come together over a nice long time and have built themselves up piece by piece, whereas this is immediately into galaxy-spanning threats with 5 massively powerful superheroes. And how can that be anything more than just a glory fest? Which, if all they want is that, then fine, but I think they want more than that. I think we've been trying to give us something more than that with the Batman v Superman, where they're trying to make it about Superman is really a human being and how do we treat them. It felt like that was supposed to be more than just an action film. And if this one's going to carry on, this Justice League is going to carry on in that vein, then how can you do that so quickly?
Yeah, I think it is a bit too early. I mean, obviously the obvious comparison is Marvel, who spent years doing solo films before they cracked the Avengers because they built up to it. Whereas DC just want to do it in reverse. They're just, okay, we had Man of Steel, that made money. Let's do Batman v Superman, quick. Now let's just do Suicide Squad so we get all the villains. Now let's do Justice League so we get all the heroes together. And we'll get the solo films later. It'll be fine. Yeah.
I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, the thing is, I think Suicide Squad would have worked better had you been introduced to all the villains at the same time as you were introduced to your new band of heroes that were going to form the Justice League.
Or at least some of them. I mean,
or at least some of them, or at least drop a few of them in. Do something like that to make the characters go, oh yeah, that's that evil character. Oh yeah, they were a baddie in that other film. Or they were evil in that film. And they were that. And you build it up, whereas having this where, by the point we see this film, we'll have seen Wonder Woman, but we won't really have been introduced to any of the other characters. And since Wonder Woman's being set in the past, I don't think that you're going to get Flash and Aquaman popping up there for some reason.
Obviously, we've met Batman too. But yeah.
We've met Batman, but you've only really met two of the main characters that you're going to be seeing in the film. So by the point of this film, we're only going to have been introduced to Wonder Woman and Batman as the main characters, really. So we're not going to be as invested in them, and I kind of feel that they're putting the cart before the horse. And it just seems a shame, because I think these characters, and the actors as well, if their characters were given a fair chance up front, would have a better reception. In the same way that Suicide Squad, I think, would have been better had we seen the villains introduced on the way up.
Also, if it'd been a better film, that would have helped.
It being a better film would have helped a lot, but I think if you'd already known the characters, you would have been more excited about seeing them interacting, whereas being introduced to them sort of shot by shot with a little description underneath saying who they were. Or
their
a
Instagram
little
profile or whatever it is.
Their Instagram profile, their 140 character description, I think would have made it better, and I kind of have the feeling that this film's going to end up doing the same.
They're not going to get used either, are they? The villains are not going to be in this Justice League film, are they?
Not those ones, I don't think. So unless you see a brief cameo of the Flash fighting Captain Boomerang or something like he was in Suicide Squad, just for the introduction scene.
Which means that the time spent on building that Suicide Squad film could have been spent building more about this attack that's coming. Because what bothered me about the trailer was the comment from Bruce is, there's an attack coming. And he's pretty much got that entirely from the ravings of the lunatic Lex Luthor. Nothing else, just
and his dream.
And there is his dream as well, but his dream was hardly coherent. Bruce, you must do something. Oh, yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I must do something. And there's this mad guy saying something's going on, and he's now constructed an entire plan in the way that Batman meticulously plans off of two essentially small pieces of spurious commentary. And you're thinking, well, I can't easily invest in that. It is just going to be, you're telling me the bad is coming and we must fight it, and I just have to believe you. So I think I would have liked the Suicide Squad slot to have been filled with something that gave me a bit more chat.
Yeah. In terms of this trailer on its own, I mean, we could talk all night about the actual universe or lack thereof. I'm a bit turned off by this bleak and colourless aesthetic we've got again. I'm a bit tired of this. Everything's through a sepia tone filter. It's just really boring to look at. Especially when these characters are supposed to be colourful.
Well, you say that, and I come back to that. I totally disagree. They have to differentiate themselves between Marvel, that's straight, but also I don't think there's anything wrong with having this franchise over here is nice and fun and colourful. That's Marvel. This other franchise over here is nice and fun and colourful, and that's DC on television. What is wrong with having one of them being a bit grittier and a bit nastier? Because for whatever you did like about the movies as they've set up so far, they have tried to present something that's based on an ideological problem. So the Batman vs Superman was one where it is Superman human? Should we treat him this way? Should we do that? And that's like a real world relevant problem. Whereas Marvel's Avengers 2 was rammed if this really powerful computer got really out of control and we could lift up large blocks of Earth and there were lots of things flying around. And fine, it's fun, it's something to watch, but it's ultimately forgettable. So having a universe where they're trying to do something which is a bit darker, a bit more meaningful, I welcome it. I actually want to see this, and I don't think I need to see Superman in a glowing red costume just to enjoy him.
They could do it without draining all of the colour from scenes, because sometimes it's quite difficult to tell what's going on because everything's just so grey and muted and and unpleasant looking.
I haven't found it unpleasant looking. I found it just to be putting a tone on it. I mean, what did you think then to the humour? Because one of the things that they've really noticeably put in this trailer was lots of jokes. How did that sit with you?
None of them were that funny. That was the problem.
Oh, well, the superpower being rich, I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
What are your superpowers again? I'm rich.
The bit where Batman says to Commissioner Gordon, temporary or whatever it is, when Aquaman turns up and makes fun of him.
It's good to see you playing well with others again. Just like a bat. I dig it.
Maybe temporary.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Where he turns up and he goes, "So, I hear you talk to fish." That's brilliant. Well, that's a great line.
No, I'm talking about the bit later on where Gordon says to him, "I'm glad to see you playing well with others again," or something along those lines. And then he says temporarily.
Well, I don't mind that. That's maybe it is a more underplayed humour, but it's fitting with the style. If they all told stupid pun jokes like 60s Batman, I would just hit my head against the wall till it bled.
I'm thinking Aquaman might be the most light-hearted of the bunch. He seems like he's quite off the wall and doesn't care.
He's going to have to be physical humour, though, punching people about, because very noticeably, and I think this is I'm going to say it was a good choice, but I think it was the only choice they had. They've downplayed the whole craziness of Aquaman. First of all, they've put him on a huge plate of beef jerky that is Jason Momoa. I mean, you couldn't get anybody you cannot take the piss out of this guy. They couldn't take that anymore to that level. But they've also, the title, he is not Aquaman. They've just said, in reference to him, he is the Aquaman. As in, we're not going to use this. That's just his description. That's not his name. And then they've slightly taken the piss out of him, as you say, Bruce making jokes of all the things that are a bit silly, rather than using them as this is how they are. It's no, this is how I'm trying to take the piss out of you for being a bit too stylized for your own good. So that downplay of Aquaman, I think, is going to be welcome.
I just thought it was really cool when he was standing on the Batmobile, sort of laughing as they drove into battle. That was quite a cool image.
He's going to be more of a Viking character, absolutely, and that'll work. Yeah,
and you see some shots of his undersea people as well. There's a brief shot of his wife, Mira. I don't know if she's his wife in this, but there's a brief shot of her sort of swimming about underwater. So you might get to see at least some of Atlantis, which could be quite exciting. Gives this not quite a universe thing a bit more scope.
They have, on the note of the humour being included in the trailer or featured heavily, in the trailer. We've been this way with DC before, where they've featured bits of humour and things, and it's turned out they've used the 4 or 5 best gags that they've got in their arsenal during the trailer. So that
or in the case of Batman v Superman, the only gag. The only gag,
yeah. So when it appears and you go, oh yeah, I've seen that gag. Where's the other ones? Oh, where did they go? I've been burnt too many times before by DC trailers, and that's why I'm kind of cautious about going, oh well, this looks like it's going to have a slightly lighter tone, and they're going to have a bit of a laugh or a bit of banter together, at least until the big fight starts.
Yeah, fair enough. You keep reacting to feedback from the previous film. So, people said that Batman v Superman was too bleak to be enjoyable, so they've promised to make Justice League a bit lighter, reshot scenes and so on, to add in more jokes. Obviously, they don't seem to have fixed the camera filters, which might happen later.
Doesn't need to be fixed.
Well, it's one of the chief complaints, and I would quite like to see a bit more colour and a bit less grime.
Although there's been a lot of chat there, hasn't it, that there's an equal number of people that like it that don't like it. So I think it's a bit harsh to say that it just needs fixed and they've done it wrong. I mean, even if there's a disagreement here, outnumbered 2-1, and I don't know what Chris's view on this is, but if he goes the other way, it's 2-1, or if he goes even, it's 1-1. Either way, we're not got strong feeling one way or another where we've all said we definitely want this fixed. So I think if they have put in a lot more jokes, and if Chris doesn't get betrayed again by just being only 4 jokes, there is a promise here. I'm reading this trailer as they have answered some of the needs of the fans, which they had to do. Otherwise, they would just be artists up their own backside. But while still keeping to the premise of the originals and not totally rewriting it, which, dear God, did I despise them for doing with Thor 1 to Thor 2. That was a total betrayal that they changed the film completely. Whether, if you liked or didn't like one or the other, I think there's still this argument that they are totally different films. So I'm pleased to see that Justice League has said, we hear what you're saying, and we've changed a few of these things. Here's the promise of jokes. Here's the promise of we put a lot of thought into Aquaman, and we're still going to build, though, on what we've done before. I don't want to see them just suddenly changing it so completely. That would be too much.
I think with how far Justice League was in production at the time, it's too late to make any massive, bottom level changes. So these kind of reactionary changes might appear in later films that aren't quite in production yet. By all accounts, Wonder Woman looks quite colourful, for instance, as a film. But that's because Zack Snyder's not directing it more than anything else, maybe.
She gets a bit of a bad run, I thought, in this particular trailer. Although maybe I've misjudged it because I'm looking at her as the only female character, he said, in a horribly leading way. But I did notice that she got hairography where the others didn't. By which I mean there's a scene where she there's a slow motion camera shot of her coming to a stop and she tosses her hair behind her. And I thought it's a bit of a shame for her to get that when, Batman and the Flash have got the comedy pieces. They're setting the Cyborg up to be the foil, whereas I am completely serious and your jokes mean nothing to me because I am a robot. They've gone that route. And then they've got, the Aquaman is the Viking, but it felt like Wonder Woman is, I'm here to be pretty and fight things. So I hope she gets more than that in the film.
Yeah, I quite like the look of the Flash as well. Speaking of someone that used to like the TV show, I think certainly from a visual point of view, his powers look really cool. I think his suit really looks bad. That metallic armor that makes him look like a Power Ranger just doesn't look very good at all. But the way they visualize his speed is very good. Although it does look quite violent, and I kind of noticed that when you see the brief bit of his speed in Batman v Superman and in Justice League, where when he runs, it does noticeable damage to his surroundings. So it makes me wonder if he's even safe to be around.
At that power level, though, why not? Because I'm glad they've committed to his power level, and I think they had to. Superman, stupidly powerful. Wonder Woman, stupidly powerful. And you want to see a Flash that is actually on that level. And I think that they've given us that with this guy who is just a force that does have an impact on everywhere around him.
Yeah, we also see a bit of, not a crossover to the TV series, but a very kind of an image that's familiar to people who've watched the TV series of him talking to his dad through the prison glass. I presume it's his dad, it must be.
It must be. They wouldn't have a random other person in prison.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought.
Yeah. So I wonder if the Flash film will just be a rushed version of the season 1 of the TV show.
Hopefully not, but I don't think there's much to go on either way from this particular trailer.
It was just interesting they included that, and I wonder if they should be leaving the individual character stuff for their personal lives out of the team-up films, in the same way that in an Avengers film you don't tend to get development of their solo arcs that are happening in their other films. You might get mention of them, but not development of them.
I think they'll struggle to get away of the danger of wanting to put the origins in there. I think we will see chat. You'll see Atlantis because you'll get the origin of Aquaman. You see the father of Flash because you'll get the origin of Flash, and you'll see the father of Cyborg because you'll get his origin. I think they're going to touch on all of them. I agree. I wouldn't want to see any of it. I think they should just ditch it. But
this film will be 2.5 hours long. An hour and a half will be origin stories.
Yeah.
Yay! Because we all love those. But there's some cool stuff in there. The Age of Heroes talk is very kind of it's very kind of big and important sounding. I'm not sure what to make of it, if it's just going to be full of these kind of declarations of importing stuff.
He said the age of heroes would never come again.
It has to.
They're clearly fighting aliens, and it looks like they're fighting alien henchmen throughout, so we have no hint of a villain yet.
No.
There was no obvious one, but the thing is, like we say, the Flash is ridiculously powerful. The character team together are pretty huge, so the enemy will need to be very powerful themselves to pose a threat, like a credible threat to them. I mean, the line they've got to tread is obviously, we've seen the Avengers film, we've seen aliens coming from a black hole above New York, so how they vary that themselves is going to be very interesting, because they're kind of held back by the fact that someone's come there and done their superhero team-up film first.
I don't think it'll stop them. I mean, look at Suicide Squad. They had the giant skybeam like every other blockbuster has at the moment. So I wouldn't be surprised if Justice League has its own big skybeam.
I think it's just that the criticism will come very heavy, and I kind of feel for them that they must watch a lot of the films that are coming out and go, oh, damn it, we've written the massive skybeam in out. Oh, and that could have done it. You know, I do feel for them. From the trailer point of view, we don't get a sense of what the overall threat's going to be, who the villain's going to be, so it's worth reserving judgment, you know, because all we've got to go with is the trailer at the moment.
Yeah, we don't even see Superman in this. Presumably he's going to turn up at the end or something, or towards the end.
Well, there'll be another couple of trailers, won't there? So they'll give you the characters in this one, the villain in another one, and so on. So this is the character trailer.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people out there are going to be ready to hate this film because for some reason the DC films are people just, in my experience, seem to go out of their way to dislike them.
Isn't that you? You said
no, I don't. I want to like these films, of course. I want to sit and watch I want to sit and watch comic book movies and love them all. I want them all to be great. I don't sit there and hope that something's going to be bad, because I'm going to spend probably the best part of 3 hours watching this damn thing. I don't want, I don't want it to feel like a waste of time. I wanted Suicide Squad to be good. It just wasn't. I think I wanted Batman v Superman to be better than it was, but I still liked it. I'm one of the people that would go on record saying that I did like it. So I think this has the potential to be really good, but I wonder if it's just going to fall into the same traps that other people don't like about them already, which means that it'll, come out to divisive opinions.
I think that it's guaranteed to be both hated and liked, just like the other ones are. Yeah. And just because of the things we've discussed of what they can change and what they can't change. And it's a divided audience. You're never going to please everybody. It's impossible. That's a shame to be carrying that round your neck going into your next venture. But there it is. Yeah.
Well, there's also a quick shot of Lois Lane in this trailer, so it shows they're not listening completely. Why the hell is she in this? You could have written her out of Batman v Superman with almost no difference. So,
well, it depends what it is. If it's a cameo, then maybe it's just teasing for the next film. So, yeah, reserve judgment maybe.
Yeah. It has been confirmed that Superman will be back in this one, though. Henry Cavill's been sighted on set, and they've been talking about the post-death costume that's famous from the comics and so on. So I can see why they wouldn't show him in this trailer, because it's kind of all about these heroes that honour him rather than team up with him. But I wonder how Superman will come into it, and how the other characters will react to him, and what role he'll play as well.
That could be a trailer set. They could do the villain trailer is 2 and the Superman trailer is trailer 3.
Yeah, or Superman will just turn up at the last second of the final trailer or something like that.
Aye.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it. I'm quite looking forward to it. I'm interested to see what they do. I won't watch any other trailers, I don't think, unless this podcast gets record listens, in which case, the people have spoken.
You cheap ass mercenary.
Yeah.
You mean this isn't about the art? I've been misled all this time.
This isn't about the art, no. Not completely. I do like having these conversations, but, I would have to feel that risking spoilers is worthwhile.
Okay.
I don't feel like this trailer spoils much, though. It tells us who all the characters are, and I already know who they are, so that's fine.
Yeah, I'm glad I watched this trailer, because I think it importantly made a promise to me, and I think that I didn't need that promise, but I was very glad to see it, because even though I've said at the start of this, I fear they've bitten off more they can chew, I'm very pleased to see the little improvements that they've made, that they're advertising that they've made, putting in the comedy, tackling Aquaman, and all these things. It says to me, come and watch this film. It does it as well, importantly, without revealing too much of the plot. So in a world where trailers are normally awful because they either spoil the plot or they're just totally pointless, this trailer has done a lot of good work, and if I were rating trailers, I would give this trailer a really good mark.
Fair enough. Let's not rate trailers. That's just, yeah.
It's a slippery slope, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
We'll be doing poster reviews next week. The trailer looks great. I've had my like I said earlier on, I've had my fingers burnt with these trailers before. So I'm really hopeful. It looks like a film I'm going to watch and I'm going to really, really enjoy. And as much as I don't want to turn against our glorious leader, the sepia tone isn't, or the filter is not the issue that I've had with films in the past. The issue's more been the fact that they've jumped to a universe instantly without letting it gradually build. That's been my issue with it, is that they've sort of not given us the time to invest. If this film does that, if we get a bit of it through Wonder Woman, I'll be very happy.
Yeah, because
I'd just like to add to that, Craig, outnumbered 2-1, you lose. So.
I lose. Yeah, therefore I don't get my DC universe.
Sorry.
I'm fated to never get a colourful version of The Flash that I enjoy, unless I just rewatch season 1 over and over again. Which,
what you should do is you should put a filter or turn the brightness up on your TV.
I can't really do that on an IMAX screen. That's a problem.
No, but you wait until it comes out on DVD.
And just turn the brightness up, yeah.
Yeah,
why not? They actually did something with Man of Steel. Someone on the internet sharpened up the colours and stuff, and it looks really quite vibrant and great. And I'll dig that out for the notes if I can find it again. Yeah, so anything else? Oh, there was one thing that I forgot to mention. The trailer starts with some very familiar Batman imagery of him standing on a snowy mountain. You know, are they going to keep returning to that with ever since Batman Begins? Are we ever going to get away from that? Because they kind of did that in Man of Steel as well.
Maybe, but I can't hate it for that, so I'm going to stay with outnumbered 2-1, you lose.
It's just something that stood out for me. You know, it's like, oh, we did this in Batman Begins, so we'll do it again. Batman likes to be on snowy mountains.
Nope, still don't care.
Yeah. So I don't have anything else. I think we've talked about this longer than anybody should talk about a trailer. Chris, you got any final things?
No, that's about it.
Aaron, other than gloating that I've lost.
No, but I would just like to say 2-1 outnumbered, you lose.
Fair enough.
He's going to edit out. He's going to edit out me saying that I agree, isn't he? It's all going to go, isn't it?
Oh no, I'm gonna pick some dialogue from earlier podcasts that sounds like where you've talked about hating something and put this in. I really hate colours, you know, like something like that. Yeah, it will sound just as bad as I made it sound there. So on that note, we'll wait until November and see the film. There's some other DC goodness until then in the form of Wonder Woman, which comes out in, I want to say June, maybe July. Right about then. Yeah. So it's a big year for DC. 2 films, just like last year, I suppose. And every year for the rest of time. Enjoy Justice League, hopefully. And thank you for participating in this pilot discussion of trailers. You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye. It was a big week for trailers with the release of the second look at the Sony Marvel shared custody effort Spider-Man Homecoming. I couldn't resist having a look and having a chat about this too. Here to talk Spider-Man with me is Sandy.
Hello.
Hello. I'm guessing you've seen this trailer, otherwise it's going to be just me talking to myself while you go,
Trailer? No, I'm kidding. Yes, I've seen it.
What trailer? For Spider-Man 3? No.
Is Maguire coming back?
Yeah, so I guess where to start, this is a new feature, so I'm still working out the kinks, but where to start is, what did you think of the 2 minutes 40 seconds as a cohesive thing?
I'll tell you one thing, it's made me interested in Spider-Man again.
Yeah.
I can't remember this guy's name, but I saw him in the last Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm.
Civil War? Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Holland.
That's him. And I was impressed. He's a young lad. I'm trying not to make this sound overly dodgy here, but he's a young lad, and he's just perfect for Peter Parker in my humble point of view. And I've just saw that trailer today, as you mentioned it, and I'm like, yeah, I could go and watch that. I had no interest in watching The Amazing Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man, and I'm doing the inverted comma things with my fingers here. I saw the trailers for them, and I'm like, that's just gash.
Yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man films were problematic, to say the least, even though I did like parts of them. Tom Holland, for me, the way I saw it is Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker, but a kind of lousy Spider-Man, because you don't have the wisecracks and all that stuff, whereas Andrew Garfield was the opposite. He was a great Spider-Man, but his Peter Parker was too cool, and it was just felt wrong to me. He should never be cool. You should never have a cool Peter Parker, because that defeats the purpose.
He needs to be awkward and socially inept.
Yeah. So this one's awkward, and he's a nerd, or he seems to be a nerd, and
he's got the wit.
Yeah, and he's wisecracking. This trailer, he's a bit cheeky. It's like when he does a cannonball into the swimming pool.
It's funny.
And when he yells, "What's up, guys?" It's like a bit Bugs Bunny, isn't it? It's almost like he pops out the rabbit hole.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, indeed. He's certainly more like a character of his time.
Yeah.
And not he doesn't feel manufactured. He feels much more. This is how they are these days. They're always wisecracking and making jokes and this, that, and the other. It's just, I found it funny. I was laughing all the way through it. I'm like, I can't wait to go and see this.
And it's what Spider-Man should be, as far as I'm concerned. He was always the wisecracking hero, because he made jokes because he was terrified, and it was a way to kind of make him feel less terrified.
Yes.
Yeah. And I love that his best friend, I don't know who the best friend is, finds out, because he kind of has this confidant who he can just speak to, and you've got the whole, so, do you know Captain America? And he's like, I stole his shield. And you've got the Captain America fitness video, which is just great.
Because you totally would. Yeah. You totally would tell your friend, I stole his shield.
I stole his shield.
Do you know him too?
I stole his shield.
Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Civil War yet.
Yeah, well,
that's what that in reference is.
Yeah. It was in the trailer for Civil War, so like there's only so much you can spoil.
Yeah. Hey, some people don't watch trailers.
No,
and if they don't watch trailers, what are they doing listening to this podcast?
Yeah. I'm usually the one not watching trailers, but I'm kind of waiting to see how this feature does before I decide to go back to that or not.
Indeed, that has kind of annoyed me about you. You're always saying, "Oh no, I'm not sure I'm going to watch this," and I'll ask you, "Have you seen the trailers yet?" And you'll go, "No." I'm like, "How on earth can you say I'm not interested? I'm probably not going to go and watch this if you've not seen the trailer."
Well, I usually don't watch a trailer for a film that I'm actually definitely going to see. So Spider-Man, I'll be in there, even if it's terrible or whatever. I'll still be there. But
a lot of people say, "I don't want to watch the trailer because it's going to give too much away." These days, that's not actually so, because they usually sell you on a completely different story as to what actually happens.
Yeah, and I actually feel like this trailer does give quite a lot away. I could start tracing where I think the story is going to go.
Oh, I already know one location.
Yeah, well, Washington.
No. A filming location.
Right.
The guy, and I'll admit here, I'm not totally immersed in the comic books, so I don't know the guy's name. The guy with the wings,
the Vulture,
and the Vulture. That's him. Yep. You see him swooping down, and this very interesting architectural thing behind him. That is actually the Atlanta Marriott Marquis Hotel.
Oh wow!
And I know that because I've been there. That's where Dragon Con is held, and that's where I was last year, and that's where I will be this year. So it'll be interesting. Will they actually say that is actually in Atlanta, or are they going to pretend that's a building in Washington?
Or New York.
Or New York, or somewhere else.
Because it definitely looks like, because he's sitting on the side of the Washington Monument, isn't he?
Indeed, at one point, and then the other time he's actually, you actually see Stark Tower.
Yeah.
As well.
Avengers Tower, yeah.
Yeah, Avengers Tower at this point. And so I wonder if they're going to, if my mind is saying, are they going to actually make the interior of this hotel, the swooping down bit, is that actually inside the Avengers Tower? Because the shape is similar. Yeah. Anyway, that's just my mind going overtime.
Well, that's what trailers are supposed to do. You're supposed to speculate.
I'm probably overanalyzing it. But I like it when I see a filming location and I can go, oh, I recognise where that is. Well,
I'm going to get that when Avengers 3 comes out.
Oh, yeah, they're right round the corner from you.
That's right.
As a lot of American media are calling Cockburn Street, it's actually Coburn.
Yeah, Street. They're also finished there at the moment, but they're going other places. Royal Miles this weekend. Great.
I found it rather interesting that they purposely made a Turkish kebab shop.
Yeah, it looks like it's actually set in Scotland, which is interesting.
I wonder if they're actually going to... Are they going to do a World War Z on us and pretend that that's somewhere in America, or are they going to say Edinburgh, Scotland?
Well, a lot of the fake signs are Scottish in nature, so yeah, I think it's going to be set in Scotland.
They might not make it in Edinburgh. They might make it something else, I suppose.
Somewhere in Scotland.
But hey, how cool is it? We've got Avengers being filmed literally on our doorstep. Does that just not fill you with a buzz?
It does. Yeah, I'll need to go star spotting if I can.
It's causing traffic mayhem.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
That's great. Yeah.
No longer is it always just happening in one of these big American cities. It's far away, and we don't recognise any of the parts. You're going to be watching the film, and you're going, I've been there, and I've been there. That has usually got a green door, and that's usually got a red door.
It'll be an experience, certainly. Yeah.
Anyway, we digress.
Back to the trailer.
Yes.
You mentioned the Vulture. I think he looks pretty badass.
Oh, he does. And should I say it? Yes, yeah. Michael Keating, the bad guy.
Michael Keaton, that's right, yeah.
Yes. Has he played the bad guy before?
I think he has played villains of sorts before.
I don't think I've seen him. I don't think I've actually watched a film where he's a villain.
I can't think of any, but I'm sure he must have done it.
I'm sure he did. Maybe not quite as in-your-face villain as this guy appears to be. Anyway, he looks awesome. He looks good.
Yeah, he seems to have some kind of vendetta against Stark in some way, which makes sense with the tech stuff.
Everybody doesn't like Stark in one way or another because of either because of what he did with Ultron or something he did with the Avengers, or I don't know.
Or just because he's a dick.
Because he is a millionaire dick.
Yeah.
And he doesn't hide it.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously rubbed this guy up the wrong way, and it's going to be interesting how far into that history they're going to go.
Yeah, and it's also interesting what you've got here is Stark as a mentor figure for Peter, which tracks with what happened in the previous film.
Indeed.
But I kind of thought he might just be there for a couple of scenes to offer some fatherly advice, and then he would bugger off. But it seems like there's going to be some kind of coming of age arc for Peter here, because there's that whole bit about give me the suit back. And he says, I'm nothing without it. He says, if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it.
What if somebody had died?
I was just trying to be like you.
I wanted you to be better. I'm going to need the suit back.
But I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it.
And then
exactly.
What you see later is he fights the Vulture, and he's in kind of a rudimentary suit that clearly looks more homemade. So I wonder if he's like, that's him trying to prove the fact that he's worthy of protecting people.
Indeed, or it could be that those sequences are completely out of order.
Yeah, it could be fights of... But it feels like he must have the Stark suit to begin with, right? Because he had it since Civil War.
Did you notice the Stark suit, how it works?
With the web wings and things.
No. The fact that he presses or twists and it then instantly goes from baggy to skin tight.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's cool. But I'm wondering
That is very cool.
Yeah, I'm also wondering if he gives the suit back, then has his little homemade one, defeats the Vulture wearing that, and then makes his own later.
Possible, or wins over Stark, and Stark says, "Okay, then you've proved yourself. Welcome to the Avengers."
Yeah. I'm wondering how Spider-Man's activity works with the Sokovia Accords, because he's surely too young to be registered. He's only supposed to be like 15 or something.
I wonder if they even touch upon that.
They must do, because Stark is probably trying to steer him away from heroics.
They will have, yeah, indeed. They'll have to. Or it could be that Stark is just slightly egging him on, because Stark is not for the. Actually, he is for the Accords.
Yeah, no, he was champion of
Sokovia Accords. So
yeah,
it could be. It's hard to tell from just the trailer. Yeah. There's a jumble of information in there, but it'll be interesting to see how far they go into that detail as well, or if they're gonna make a mistake and gloss over it.
Yeah, I do like the idea of Peter proving that he's a viable solo act on his own by saying, "Well, screw you, Stark. Actually, what you said made sense, and I'm going to prove that I can defeat this Vulture guy without your like fancy tech." Yeah,
it's like you say, a coming of an age story, and it might be quite good.
And it would make sense for him to make his own suit after that as well. You know, he's like, I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm done with you as a mentor. I'll come on way now. Here I am.
It certainly would, but I think at the end we'll see him in a Stark suit.
Could be. Yeah, he might get his old one back, but
I think Stark will give him it back, because otherwise, I don't know. Studios do like to change the costume designs a lot, so it's feasible that he sticks with his own.
Yeah, or makes a more unique version of that design. You know, he makes himself.
Yes.
Because Spider-Man has been ultimately a solo act throughout the years, and the fact is he's supposed to kind of do everything on his own. But I think I quite like the idea of he takes all the fancy toys and then decides he's better off doing it on his own. That's quite an interesting idea for him, because of course, like, some rich guy comes up to you, you know, and he's like, "Here's all this tech, I can help you grow as a hero, you'll be an Avenger one day, look at this, it's going to be amazing." And Peter couldn't get sucked in by that, surely, but, you know, maybe with a bit of time and a bit of thought, he's like, "Well, I don't think that path is quite for me, but here's the way I'm going to do it."
It could be that the events of Civil War also made him rethink.
Yeah.
I wonder if, because you see the scene from Civil War where he's in the limousine and he's talking to Stark.
That wasn't in Civil War, but I think it's set just afterwards, because you see the bruise under Stark's eye and things.
Is it?
Yeah.
It was from the Civil War film anyway. You see it in the Civil War film.
No,
because I remember.
There's no scene like that. No.
Are you sure? Because I remember seeing that somewhere. Where did I see that then? Where
maybe
did I see
in the first trailer.
Is it possible?
Yeah, in the first trailer they had this whole bit where Peter thinks he's about to be hugged, so he hugs him back, and he's like, "I'm not hugging you, I'm getting the door." It was the first trailer.
Yeah, okay, it must have been that, because I swore blind when I saw that. I went, "Oh, nice little."
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I was just inventing things in my head.
Yeah, but if Peter's going to spend the film forging his own path, that's quite cool. So he can be a solo act, and that's quite an interesting idea.
And it lends itself also to solo films, so that he doesn't have to always have a guest Avenger or something like that helping him.
Yeah, this film needs Iron Man to realise that Peter doesn't need Iron Man. Simple
Indeed.
as that. Yeah. Things about it I didn't like. It has another fight with a villain where he gets unmasked. I hate that.
I didn't spot that.
Yeah, he's been trampled by the Vulture, and his mask is off, but he's still wearing his proto suit thing, his little homemade thing.
Yeah, well, we don't know exactly what leads up to that just now. It could be that the Vulture already knows who he is. And
yeah, but I hate that.
Yeah, I know, but in this day and age, it's very hard to keep your identity secret.
Yeah, but this, let the secret identity thing happen. I mean, it doesn't happen in these Marvel movies anyway, so let's let it happen. I don't know how it's going to play out in the film, admittedly, but it just looks like this is another fight where he's unmasked. and fighting a villain, which is a bit of a pain. Also, I think that plane sequence looks a bit too big, a bit too high profile for Spider-Man.
I'm not sure. That'll have to be explained. Well, I'm hoping.
He finds himself in the air. The plane is going down, and he's pulling it off course and things.
That's something you'd see Superman do, not Spider-Man.
Yeah, or Iron Man.
Superman does
an Iron Man thing.
Yeah, Iron Man or Superman do the aerials. Yeah. Spider-Man is more earthbound.
I mean,
for obvious reasons.
It shows his creativity and things, but I just feel like that's too big a sequence, And,
I don't know. There might be we might see it in the film and it might make perfect sense.
Oh, it might be great.
It could be that the Vulture's got him on that plane. Yeah. And is trying to take him somewhere, and he manages to effect some sort of escape. Yeah. Then things happen. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah. He might not be there purposely just to save whoever's on board that plane. It might just be circumstance.
Yeah, I was just kind of hoping for a bit more subdued spectacle in the Spider-Man film.
Yeah, true. Yeah, okay, fair enough. But it's certainly not put me off.
No, it's too early to say, and but it does seem like this trailer has a very kind of through line. So it looks like I've got a prediction for what Peter's arc's going to be, how the story is going to frame itself, etc., etc. But it could all play out differently. Who knows? But it's great to see Spider-Man on screen again, and it's great to see him at least looking like how I feel he should be.
He looks dorky.
Yeah.
He sounds dorky. He's got a bit of a squeaky voice.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about him in again, it sounds incredibly dodgy, but that's what I liked about him, because Peter Parker is meant to be an awkward teenager.
Yeah.
Coming of age, not quite found himself, not sure. And this guy, he oozes that, and he just makes it work. I'm pretty sure that in real life he's a very well-adjusted, very nice guy and everything. But the way he portrays Peter Parker is just perfect. This is like, is Peter. That is Peter.
Yeah,
that's
jumped
perfect.
Out. Yeah, it also looks like we don't have to watch Uncle Ben die again, so I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah.
No more Origins.
Indeed, we don't need another Origins. I was going to say oranges there for a second.
We don't need any more oranges.
Or oranges. Films. We don't need any Oranges or Origins films. Thank you very much. We've had that.
Yeah. I don't think I've got much else to say, really. It's 2 minutes 40 seconds. I'm quite amped for it. I'm quite excited. I wonder what's to do with that little spider robot that comes out of his symbol.
Yeah, that looks like a little Stark extra.
I think it might be his famous spider tracers.
He also seems slightly.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell is this?
He also seems slightly surprised by it, as if he didn't mean to activate it.
Yeah, what's this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah,
who knows? Oh, hey. Knowing Stark, it could also be some sort of monitoring device so Stark can keep tabs on him. Who knows?
Yeah. 7th of July, Spider-Man comes out.
Yep.
Exciting.
Definitely going to go and see it.
Big IMAX film. I'll be there. I'll be excited. I'll be wearing some kind of Spider-Man t-shirt. I'll be like a child again. I'm loving it.
Now that I know that there's an IMAX in Edinburgh, yes.
Yeah,
before IMAX has always been a 40-45 minute drive to to Glasgow, and sometimes it's just not worth it with the traffic. But now that I know that there's one at Edinburgh, yes, I might even join you. But I'm not if it's a midnight viewing, because I'm not that. I'm not like that into my films. I can wait until a Friday night or a Saturday.
Yeah. Well, I will see it 500 times. Yeah. It's like comic book guy in The Simpsons. Even if it's crap, I'll come out and I'll be like, worst film ever. I'm only seeing it 3 more times today.
Yeah. worst film ever. 1, please. So 7th of July, you said.
Yes. I don't know if it'll have an
That's a Friday
in the UK or not.
Yeah. Well, if it gets released on the 7th, that's a Friday. I may join you, may not.
Well, you'd be welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll see how this trailer roundup goes.
I wonder if we're going to get a third one.
A third what?
Trailer.
Oh yeah, we'll have more trailers. Yeah.
Because that seems to be the thing these days.
Yeah, a million trailers, especially Marvel films. There's always a million of them. I think this is the last one I'll watch for Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't think I want to watch anything else.
I've seen two. It's unprecedented. I feel like I've seen enough.
Yeah, this is very abnormal for you. I almost thought, who are you and what have you done with Craig?
Yeah. So this week I've watched the Justice League trailer and Spider-Man, and I feel dirty.
See, I'm not all that fussed for Justice League.
Yeah, well, that's a different podcast.
I don't like how they're not using Grant Gustin.
Well,
I think it's a stupid idea.
Well, Flash season 3, not enjoying it myself, but you know.
No, same here. I've not been watching it. Anyway, that's for a different podcast.
Different podcast. Yes, Flash season 3 podcast that made it. So, any final thoughts about the Spider-Man trailer? I think I've covered most of it. The Stark dynamic looks cool. I always like Stark.
Made me go squee and do a little hand clappy.
Yeah, it's quite exciting.
Yes.
It could be, I think I may be at the levels of excitement I was for Spider-Man 2 back in the day, which were quite high. I was quite looking forward to that one, and it was amazing. So, great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agree.
So, on that note, trailer discussion, I believe, has ended. Would you agree?
Yes, I think so. I don't think we can really squeeze any more out of that.
No, 2 minutes 40 seconds.
Yep.
That's enough. So,
let's not go.
Hope you enjoyed, listeners, and thwip. Just thwip.
Thwip. I love it.
Thwip. So, that was the first in our potentially recurring trailer chat feature. A special thank you to YouTubers nstems1117 and 331erock for the supplied music. If you like what you heard, then please do subscribe on iTunes, YouTube, or any major podcasting app. Do also let us know if this feature was something you enjoyed, and join us on the next Kneel Before Pod.